Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
Hi, I'm Joshua Parkerson. Welcome to the Bible for Busy People. This week, I'm filling in for my mom, Erica, and we're doing a series called Victory in Christ. In this episode, we're going to look in the book of Exodus and see how Moses trusted God through uncertain times. When was a time you were uncertain of the future? When I had ulcerative colitis, I was uncertain of my future and my health. But times were also uncertain for Moses and the Israelites. Finally, the Israelites were set free from Egyptian slavery, and the Pharaoh let Moses' people go. In Exodus 12:31 it says, Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron during the night. "Get out," he ordered. "Leave my people and take the rest of the Israelites with you. Go and worship the Lord as you have requested." So after 430 exhausting years, the Israelites were set free and delivered out of the hands of the Egyptians. For it says in Exodus 12:40-41, the people of Israel had lived in Egypt for 430 years. In fact, it was the last day of the 430th year that all the Lord's forces left the land. The Egyptians enslaved the Israelites for 430 years. They were enslaved for a very long time, but God eventually brought justice and freed them from Egypt. The Israelites then were led to the Red Sea, but Pharaoh was regretting his decision to let the Israelites go. Pharaoh and his officials wondered why they freed them in the first place. So Pharaoh's heart became hardened and he changed his mind. Pharaoh decided to take 600 of his best chariots and the whole Egyptian army to pursue the Israelites. The Israelites were uncertain, but Moses stayed faithful to God. God then instructed Moses to raise his staff and stretch his hand out to divide the Red Sea. When Moses stretched his hand, God divided the Red Sea and the ground was dry with walls of water. The Israelites were able to walk through the Red Sea. Just imagine how crazy it was for Israel to walk through the Red Sea, seeing whales, fish, and all kinds of sea life. That must have been amazing. The Egyptians pursued the Israelites with determination, but even though times were uncertain, God still delivers the Israelites from Egypt. For Exodus 14:26-28 says, When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the Red Sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers." So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh. Of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. The Egyptians looked like at first they had the upper hand, but God used Moses to deliver the Israelites from Egypt and destroyed the army in the Red Sea. Even when things seemed chaotic, the Israelites made it across and God swept up the Egyptian army. Right now, you might be walking through the Red Sea in your life. I want you to know that God is going to use everything for your good and His glory. One of the times I walked through the Red Sea was when my uncle passed away. My uncle was such a faithful man, and it was so hard for our family. After he passed, my aunt gave me one of his bracelets, and I wear it to work every day, and it says Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose for them. It was a tough time for me, but I wear that bracelet every day to remind me that God uses everything for His glory. Walking through the Red Sea is not easy, but if God can deliver the Israelites from Egypt, He could deliver you. Next time on the Bible for Busy People, we're going to walk around the walls of Jericho and see how Joshua won the battle by being strong and courageous in Christ. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time on the Bible for Busy People.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or you're ready to go a little deeper in your faith, we've posted some resources for you in our show notes. We'd love for you to share this podcast with a friend and leave us a review. It helps us reach even more people with the hope of Jesus. This podcast is part of Purposely, a podcast network designed with practical podcasts to help you find and live in God's purpose for your life. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at onpurposely.com.